speaking with Canberra resident Morgan Hubbard about her trek to the foot of the world's highest peak, Mount Everest, in September, all in the name of climate change. Thanks for speaking with me, Morgan.
That's okay.
Now, why Everest? Was using your green, biodegradable shopping bags at the Canberra supermarkets not enough anymore?
It was more for the fact that Everest and Nepal and the Himalayan mountains are really affected by climate change because they are at such a high altitude and they have so much ice and weather change that climate change, just a slight degree change, has a huge impact on them. And so it was about seeing what the impact of climate change is and how it's affecting local communities, and not just reading about it, but seeing it, talking to the communities and working with them.
Okay. And did seeing any climate change effect in Australia or the Canberra region have any impact on your decision to make this huge international trek?
I don't think I've really recognised a lot of climate change issues in Canberra, because when I talk to Mum and Dad about the fact that all of a sudden we've got all this rain and the drought sort of ended, they just say this is how it was 20 years ago. So in Australia, we still have the extremes, but we've always had extremes. And the way Australia's cycle is going, it's as if it's going back to what it used to be, and then it'll go back through it. So I don't think Australia is seeing a lot of the climate change issues at this moment in time, but with how we're going and how we're moving towards it, and the fact that we're not tackling climate change, and there's still so many people who don't take it seriously or think it's a real issue, they're just saying, nah, it's going to happen anyway, and we don't have any effect on it. I think Australia will see it eventually.
Now, you're doing your trek through Inspired Adventures. How did you find them?
Through Twitter.
Social media. So,
Someone else retweeted something of theirs completely not relevant to the trek I'm going on, about how they were fundraising for cancer or a different charity. And so I looked into it, and then the climate change one and the trip to Everest and everything that was involved in it is the one that I was like, okay, that's what I want to do.
I guess we should turn our attention to, you are trekking to the base of the world's highest mountain. What sort of preparation are you doing for this?
Well, so far I've done a lot of running. A couple of weeks ago I went for a 30k run just to see if I could do it and whether I could bring my pace to do such long runs. And whilst we'll be trekking, there are some days where we trek for 8 hours, and it'll be at a slow pace, and we're not carrying our big backpacks. We all have little backpacks, and each person has a Sherpa to carry their actual backpacks. But I'm doing a lot of running as well as trekking with my boots, so going up Black Mountain, down Black Mountain, all around Black Mountain. I've gone on a training trek in the Blue Mountains, which was absolutely spectacular. And I think eventually I'm going to lead to going into the Brindabella Mountains and going for a whole weekend. So I'll get dropped somewhere in the mountains, then I'll hike for that evening until I get to the campsite, camp, hike the next day, camp, and then hike back to the spot that I got dropped, so that I can experience more of a long-distance trek, longer hours, but also be out in nature and have the hills and the ups and downs.
Fantastic. I guess, it's a huge undertaking. You've got to raise, it's close to $4,000, isn't it, for the, what charity are you fundraising for?
For the Australian Youth Climate Coalition.
Okay. Now, do you see yourself now as a bit of a climate change ambassador?
Right now I don't, but I think by the time that I've done the trek and I've worked with the Himalayan Climate Initiative, and as well as this year, having signed up for the trek, I've also signed up to become a volunteer with the Australian Youth Climate Coalition based in Canberra, so I can start getting involved with the Australian initiatives that are going out there. And I'm also looking at extending my stay in Nepal so that I can do more than just 3 days working and volunteering with the Himalayan Climate Initiative to doing it for, say, 10 or 12 days until I've got to come back to Australia. So after that, maybe.
I guess now closer to home, you've got all this experience and exposure to people that are actively trying to, get the news about climate change out there. What can Canberra residents do, other than climbing to the base of the world's highest peak, to make a difference?
I think they just need to get involved and become educated about the actual issues, and then they don't have to get involved in a huge thing, but if they find something that they believe in, to write a letter to their local politician, to get involved with a local community organisation, to find out ways that they can influence the impact and the direction that Australia is heading, government-wise and policy-wise, to sustainable energy, to the use of products, and you can make such a small difference by choosing the earth-friendly products as opposed to the incredibly chemically harsh products that you can't even touch your skin. And if every single person made that little change, then it's this big change that would happen in its entirety. So they don't need to do this big trek to see how it's affecting other countries. They can, within themselves and within their own home unit, think, how the difference, what little thing can I contribute that will eventually roll on to changing Australia's future.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for speaking with the Canberra Post, Morgan, and good luck on your trek.
Thank you.